Joining us now from Richmond in the General Assembly, State Senator Bill Stanley. He's in leadership in the Republican majority caucus of the state Senate. District 20, Franklin, Virginia. Senator Stanley, good to have you with us, Bill.
Great to be with you, John. Good morning, my friend. It's been too long.
Been way too long. I know you've been a very busy man. It's tough to get through your Richard Krause in there, keeping the gate. The gatekeeper, Krause, has been tough. So
he stands at the ramparts.
I know.
He protects the brand.
He does certainly do that. So it's been tough getting around him. And when I go to you directly, I get chastised by Krause. So now I'm playing by the rules, right? I'm doing exactly what he said, just like I always do. Let's go to, you got a committee meeting. You're sponsoring the bill in the Senate, talking about property rights, allowing people to buy tickets for a venue, whether it be football game, baseball game, basketball game, concert, whatever, be able to buy the tickets and own the tickets, which means you can opt for a paper ticket against the TicketMaster Live Nation monopolists that are trying to drive people into reselling it back in their venue, charging 20%. And then, of course, the venue operators looking to gouge the public. This is all about monopoly and gouging, and the opposition, TicketMaster, represented by big-time McGuire Woods lawyers, on the side of the monopolists. This has gone through the House. What do you see happening today in committee?
Well, I've done a little nose counting. I think it will come out of committee, maybe a couple negative votes, but that's about it. I mean, I couldn't describe the bill any better, and I was trying to write it down, what you were saying, because that would be my argument at the podium this morning. That was pretty right on target. You know, one of the funny things is you never think about, and this is really to protect the individual. This is not a scalping bill. This is somebody who buys a ticket, maybe has an extra one, or can't go to the concert or whatever it is, and gives it to a friend, or the friend gives them face value for the ticket, or they sell it. The monopolists say that's a license and it's our license and we give it to you exclusively. They will keep you because they make you present an idea from coming in if it's not you who bought the ticket and the ID doesn't match. But what is really shocking is that TicketMaster, these ticket purveyors, they hold back a bunch of tickets and then resell them to the StubHubs and the other venues at higher prices. So they're scalping their own ticket, and then telling you can't do that which what you bought, which is to transfer it to a friend, to give it to your cousin, because they're trying to control right down to the single ticket who gets in and who doesn't. All the while, there is no competition. They are making a boatload of money, and most people can understand. You're not paying like you did 30 years ago, $15, $20 for a ticket. Sometimes just at face value, you're paying hundreds of dollars for a ticket, and things come up, and if you can't go, you should be able to give it to your cousin. And so it's just patently unfair. And what we're trying to do is just say, look, if I own a ticket, if I bought that ticket, I have the right to give it to somebody else, and not have that person denied when they come to the gate and they want to see a concert.
Exactly. And look, the other side of this is that if you buy a ticket and you want to give it to charity, or you just want to give it to a friend, or you want to give it as a Christmas gift or a birthday gift, you should be able to do that. Or, like you say, if you can't attend, this is not like buying an airline ticket, right? Where you have to go through security, you have to be vetted. This is for a basketball game. The whole thing is absurd. But the real reason the TicketMaster Live Nation monopolist, who right now control 75% of the ticket sales market, what they're trying to do is also gain the same type of a monopoly over the resale market. So I'm not going to be able to put my ticket on StubHub or Craigslist or something like that. I have to go back through them in order to resell the ticket. They take 20%, and they take 20% of the face value of the ticket. So if I'm buying it for $100, I have to sell it back to them. I want to get back $80. They can sell it for $350 if they please. All right.
That's
so
right.
they've made my $80. Now they're going to make the $20 on the resale, and then they can sell it back for whatever they please. So
can I get you up here at 9? You'd be an excellent testimonial.
I should be. I should. I said earlier in the House, I said I should be testifying for this and then here's what the monopolists do, which is incredible. Their argument is a false narrative. They talk about fake news. Their argument is, well, this is really done to stop the bots in Bulgaria or Romania from buying up all of the good seats. And so they have all these bots and they buy up the good seats. And so this is really to protect the consumer. Baloney! First of all, there's a federal law that got passed, a federal law that makes that totally illegal. So that's ridiculous. And the bottom line is all this bill says is I need an option to say that says, do you want a paper ticket? And so I should be able to get a paper ticket. And
That's
so
right. That's right.
This is not about bots or not about Bulgaria or any of this other nonsense. It's about TicketMaster and Live Nation controlling the same 75% of the resale market that they control of the ticket sales market. It's also about people like Dan Snyder that owns the Redskins saying, yeah, you have tickets, but I really own them. They're really mine. I'm just leasing them to you for the day. And if you don't want this lease, you have to go back through me to resell them so I can then gouge the public and make two ends of the profit. Right? This is an anti-consumer bill.
The license agreement fails because New York, which has this type of law, says we acknowledge the ticket's a license. But even though it's a license, that is a transferable license. And so they give the right to the person that bought it. If you call a ticket, or you want to call it a license, whatever it is, the transferability should be in the possession, the person who has possession. That power should be with the holder, not with the company that printed it out, that kept back most of the good stuff anyway, that gave half of most of the good tickets that they didn't sell to the promoters, to the band itself, who then sell at higher market values. I mean, everybody there involved who is saying this is wrong, they're the people who are actually involved in some of the biggest high markup resales of these tickets in the United States. So it's disingenuous even in that regard because, you, Mr. Ticket Holder, just want to give it to charity or want to give it to your cousin, want to sell it because you can't go. You can't do it. But meanwhile, we took all the floor seats, we held them back, we split them up, and then we sold them. They were face value at $100. We're now selling them at $500 on another venue and another platform. It's just hypocritical to the highest degree.
You know what? This to me is an issue of if I buy something, I should be able to own that, and I should be able to do with it as I please. And when I was at the hearing in the House in the Commerce and Labor Committee, I mean, I was absolutely, if you looked at the people who came up arguing on behalf of the monopolists, and that really what it is, it was these, high-priced lawyers and $5,000 Armani suits coming up with Rolex watches, and they don't care about the average person buying a ticket, the average consumer that then wants to give that to their child, their friend, their neighbor, charity, whatever. And so the whole thing is so disingenuous, it makes me crazy, Bill.
Oh, it does me too. I mean, it used to be you could take, I remember my family used to take, my mom and dad would take us to the Baltimore Orioles game at the old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, and you could get in there and you could basically, for $30-$40, have a family of four, have a really good time. You can't even get close to that number now. Not even one ticket costs $40. Everything's been elevated. Everything's been inflated. You're driving the consumer out of the market. You're driving the everyday man out of the market. And what do you get? You get the guy in the Armani suit with the Rolex watch. You get that kind of that kind of person trying to control the market. It doesn't work. I mean, at some point in time, businesses have to understand that it is the consumer that drives the market, not them that drives the market. And I think the only way they get the lesson, one, is to stand up for personal property rights, as this bill does. And believe me, it's not hard to convince any of my fellow legislators to do this. But two, what happens if we stop going? What happens if we stop buying those tickets? I bet you their tune would change very quickly.
Well, that's it. I mean, people, look, you want to go to a basketball game, a football game, a baseball game. You want to buy the tickets, concert, whatever. And so this is entertainment for the consumer. And to me, the anti-monopolist legislation put forth by yourself in the Senate and Dave Albo in the House is simply protecting average working Americans to be able to do what they please with their event ticket. I'm just beside myself that people don't see this clearly, especially if you went in these committee meetings. Okay, let's get to another issue that's a hot topic, Airbnb. Look, we're all for open markets and the freedom to do what you want. Senator Tommy Norment, Majority Leader, says, look, if you want to operate an Airbnb, that's fine, but you have to play within the rules of your local zoning government, of your county, of your city, right? We elected supervisors and council members who then put forth zoning regulations within that area, right? This is the law. And so I'm not for the government picking winners and losers. I'm for everybody playing by the same rules. So if you don't like the rules, then put some other mayor or county supervisors in there. But what Airbnb does is they go outside of the system and they're not playing by the same rules. What Tommy says is, hey, we've had it. And so if you're going to break the rules, you're going to have a fine. And the fine is going to be painful. $10,000. That's big dollars. Look, and then Airbnb says, oh, well, we comply with this. We don't need any laws enforcement. We voluntarily comply with this. Meantime, the CEO of Airbnb in San Francisco, for his own properties, he isn't even complying with San Francisco law. So give me, how does this whole thing work?
In Richmond here, you've got, it's against the law. They have on their platform a button that you can press, and you can rent an Airbnb place, room, or house in Richmond. So they're openly flouting what is not allowed in Richmond. And then what they do is they say, you catch up with me, government. I don't have to play by your rules. And on top of that, if you mess with our business platform, then I'm going to sue your government. I'm going to take away your tax dollars. I'm going to involve you in costly litigation until you capitulate to my demand. It's their business model. I mean, look at this company. They create a platform on a phone that says, wow, just by touching this button, I'm a hotel. My house is a hotel. Well, I like to say, you've been to my house. I've got a 60-acre farm. If I have an app and what's next, it's got to happen. Well, now I'm a pavilion, and I'm going to have the Rolling Stones out there, and I don't have to listen to the local government about noise ordinances, or about health and safety regulations, about any of the people that come onto my property. I'm not responsible for them. I'm making money because it's my property. Well, what we forget is my property rights end where my neighbor's property line begins. Mm-hmm. And I know that most people out there listening would say, at the same time we understand what this is, we have zoning for a reason. We have zoning because most people, you have business zoning, you have commercial zoning, you have ag, you have a mixed use, and you have residential. If I wanted to buy, if I wanted to live next to a hotel, I would buy a house next to the Holiday Inn Express.
Right.
You don't know who's going in there. You don't know if the person that's renting it could create a liability issue, hurt somebody in the neighborhood, hurt your next door neighbor. We've had reports of where, 15 college kids rent a house and it becomes a fraternity for the weekend. People didn't buy their property. The most precious right we have is the right to own property, to have someone else decide whether you're going to have a quiet enjoyment and tranquility, or whether you're going to be subjected to their commercial enterprises. That's why we divvy up the land and say, you want a business, build it over here. Heavy industrial, build it over here. Residential, here. Agriculture, farm product, over here. It's the law. It's been that way for centuries. We just want this company to respect it.
I think that's a pretty fair request. And now what Tommy Norman is saying, Senator Norman, Majority Leader, is saying with his bill is if you don't respect it, then you're going to have a fine. And the fine isn't going to be $100, it's going to be $10,000. So you better take notice. Now, if you live in Virginia Beach and you want to do an Airbnb, okay, and you don't like the zoning laws of Virginia Beach that are put in place right now by your locally elected government, you elected them. If you don't like the zoning laws as it pertains to Airbnb or hotels or anything else, then change the government. Vote all those people out, put people in that change the zoning laws that say that I can rent my home out for 2 days, under 30 days without any restrictions. See if that works. You can't have it both. This is the thing, Bill. You can't have it both ways. What drives me bananas is when the government de facto is picking winners and losers. So if you open up a hotel, if you're a hotelier, a franchisee, you have to follow all these rules, pay all these taxes. All right? And then on the other hand,
and carry liability insurance in the amount of $5 to $10 million.
Right.
Pay all of that.
You have to follow the law that's put in place by your local government that you elected. So then you have this Airbnb. People come in and say, well, I'm not going to pay attention to any of that. I'm just going to flaunt all of it, and I'm going to do whatever I please. And so the hotelier, they have to play by the rules. I do not. So if you don't like that, then get a brand new city council and a brand new mayor and change it, right? Instead, they want to go behind the system. That's the duplicity that drives me nuts. Am I right?
Exactly right? You couldn't have said it any better than myself.
Thank you. I should be on the committee. Should have me there.
I'm telling you, I'm bringing you every time. Now, Tommy and I both had the bill. I rolled mine into Tommy's. I'm the chairman of the local government committee in the Senate. We sent his bill to the floor of the Senate. It's a reasonable approach. The funny thing is where we had many small businesses, many industries, and local governments all coming together and saying, we like Tommy's approach. We like, my bill was basically the outlier. It was the club. And, and I'm sure Airbnb didn't like it, but I didn't care. But, for once in my life, my legislation made Tommy Norman look reasonable. So I think I hit a milestone.
That's right. You made Tommy's bill look reasonable. That might be your bill. That might be your epitaph, right?
I can retire
on
now.
Your tombstone.
I think I've done it all.
I made Tommy Norman look reasonable. That's got to be your tombstone epitaph right there.
I'm going to get a T-shirt and we'll just start selling them.
We'll sell them online without restrictions.
Yes, that's right.
That's right, without restrictions.
All laws of local government.
And if I buy your T-shirt, I can transfer it to anybody in my family without having to go back through Ticketmaster or the shirt maker in order to resell my shirt back for somebody else to gouge me 2 times. Unbelievable. The stuff that goes on.
I think we got a business. We just wrapped up this whole conversation in one tiny little boat.
We got it. So I'm going to take all that money that we're going to make, and we're going to give that money to Ben Tribbett, send them to Vegas, and if they win, I'm not coming in that work on Monday. How about that?
Very good. All right, well, give me a call because I want to hear what it sounds like to be winning.
We got to get Ben Tribbett to go back to Las Vegas. Okay, Bill Stanley, we're out of time. Tell Richard Krause I finally got through the gatekeeper of all time.
I will. Love you, John.
The John Fredericks Radio Network. Keep it right here. Your source, my friends, for the truth.